We should have members of our youth advisory board here this evening. You are welcome to come up to the podium, my friends. Good to see you all. Welcome.
Presentation. Okay, hello. My name is Hallie Palmer. I'm the head chair of the Youth Advisory Board. Sadly, we are missing our secretary and sergeant at arms, but the rest of the executive board will introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Liam Fletcher, and I'm the media specialist.
Hi, my name is Kayla Beidelman, and I'm the vice chair.
And we will continue with our Little Libraries presentation.
A little library is a system in the community where people could take a book and leave a book. It is a freestanding library. We were brought this idea by Celine Wong, founder of Free Reads. She previously presented this idea, which was accepted. We're also collaborating with Parks, Playground, and Recreation Advisory Board. We believe this is a good way to connect our community, encourage reading, support literacy, and comprehension throughout the township. Free Reads started this around 4 years ago. The plan is to eventually have libraries at all 26 parks in Teaneck. To support this, it would be a collaborative effort with different organizations in the community. Each organization would adopt a library in a park. They would take control of said libraries. The amount of libraries per organization would depend on the size of the park. There are over 150,000 little libraries around the world.
Where will our libraries be located? We will start with 2 libraries at Voti Park, one on the southern end by the Rada Center and one at the northern end by the basketball court. These 2 at Voti would be the Youth Advisory Board's little libraries, and Free Reads would take over Brooks Park, which was formerly known as Tryon Park.
Maintenance. So each organization that participates in this will adopt these libraries at their said park. To maintain it, how the Youth Advisory Board is going to maintain the libraries at VOT, we're going to supply the books via Free Reads and the Youth Advisory Board, and we will be accepting donations. And then we would have a weekly check-in at VOT to make sure the books have good quality, condition, and they're fully stocked. And if there are any issues missing, that we don't see during our weekly check-in, there will be a QR code on the box that can directly message us, just so we have updates on it when we're not there.
This is the size of our little library in inches.
So how much will this cost? We will start with 2 libraries, and it'll be $584.57 for one little library, and this includes the price of the box, which is $369.95, the shipping cost for the box, which is $98.15, the topper kit, which is the support stand that holds the box, which is $89.95, and the shipping cost for the topper kit, which is $26.52. And if we're getting 2 of these, that totals to $1,169.14. And this includes subtotal and shipping. And with taxes, it'll be around $1,250.
Our goal overall, as a community collaboration with Free Reads and the PRAB, is to encourage reading throughout the township. The library is currently under renovation, and we are missing that element within our community. And this element can continue once the library is done to encourage young kids, teens, and even adults to continue reading.
Thank you.
Can we please give them a round of applause? You guys
Did a fantastic job, and you absolutely have my support. Is there anyone on council? Deputy Mayor G.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It was very thorough and precise. I really appreciated it. I'm curious, if we would like to make donations, how do we go about doing that?
So like I mentioned before, the QR codes, we would have a page set up, and we can always accept donations from the public like that. If you want to do it personally, then you can always email one of the advisors or the organization itself, and we will correspond that usage privately.
Awesome, thank you. And do you have a plan for which locations would be next?
We would do Votee next, preferably the one closest to the Rada Center. Free Reads will deal with their libraries at Brooks Park.
Thank you.
Ms. Belcher.
I thank you so much for that presentation. I think these little libraries are such a marvel idea, and it's a quaint idea. It's an idea that really encourages people to read, and I really love it. So kudos to all of you for presenting.
Ms. Goldberg.
So I just want to thank the two advisors and you guys for, I know you guys talked to PPRB and I think what I heard from Mac
Free
Phoenix,
Reads.
no, PPRB. And I think I heard that from Allison Davis, who's the chair of PPRB, mentioned that she spoke to Dwayne that you guys are going to come to the next PPRB meeting. I think that's what the plan is.
Yes.
So I'm going to wait because they had some specific questions and I'm going to let them ask their questions. And my colleagues already answered them. But I think this is a great program and I'm glad that you guys are going to come to PPRB because they have some questions about maintenance and how Votee was chosen. And so I think this is a great program and they just want to help collaborate. So looking forward to next meeting.
Ms. Organ.
So I think we were all blown away by your last project, the Youth Advisory Board with the defibrillators, and this is a great follow-up project. Also, I would love it if you would share the information with us so that we can share it with the public as far as donating. I know that Ms. Wong has been trying to get this project off the ground for a while, and I think this is a great way to get everybody involved. Friday, I took myself finally to the Bogota Library. I haven't been to a library since TNEC shut down, and I saw so many TNEC residents there. So this will be a great way for TNEC residents to get books. I hope we can get this off the ground before or in the near future so that people can get books before the library reopens. And if you need any help from us, reach out. I'm sure we'll all be on board to help you out.
Yes, Deputy Mayor G.
I just want to clarify, do you all already have funding for the first two? Or are you looking for funding for the first two? Oh, can we support them, council?
Deputy Mayor G, there was a discussion with Dwayne and the chair of PPRB. They want them to come to the next meeting because they have some constructive feedback for the help it succeed before we do that.
Personally, help.
Okay, because I know we have some dollars set aside in the advisory board budget, so I'm just curious if there's.
You know, they
Anyway.
just had some, the advisors already spoke with
They did,
the
okay.
PPRB and that's why they mentioned it. So they're going to come to the next meeting. They have some questions to go through, like maintenance kind of a stuff and spacing. I don't really understand, but that was the ask. And then
Okay, to be continued then.
Ms. Hashmat, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, after they go to their meeting and you get the specifics, if you guys could give us the amount that you need, I'm sure we can find the money to support the first two.
Once again, you guys, oh, please go ahead.
Mayor,
Oh, sorry. Deputy Mayor Katz, let Liam speak real quick and then you can speak.
One more thing to the.
Of course,
donation
please do,
thing.
yes.
We'd probably link an Instagram page either for the Youth Advisory Board or make a new page specifically for the little libraries in that QR code. And through that, we can add a link to either a GoFundMe or a Patreon to make that transition easier for people if they would like to donate.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Katz, I didn't see your hand go up.
it's okay. I just want to also congratulate the Youth Advisory Board for this great project and enhancing the parks and the community. I do like the idea of getting donations so that we can maximize the amount of units that we could put out there. Obviously, Councilmember Goldberg is right. The PPRB works tirelessly to keep our parks, as beautiful as they are. So it's important that we do collaborate with them and make sure that we address any concerns and open issues that they have as well. But I think this is great, and I'd love to see more of these all over town.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ketch. Deputy Mayor G.
Finally, I just wanted to acknowledge the parents of our Youth Advisory Board students. Could you stand up? I see some of you in the room, and all the youth advisors, can you also stand up? So parents, I just want to say thank you for lending us your children. They are awesome and they provide so much to this community, and we're so grateful for you and that you did such an amazing job raising these amazing kids. So thank you. I just want to acknowledge you because you're here. And then all the advisors who volunteer to support them, thank you. I love how you let the students lead every time there's a new initiative, and it really speaks to your support as well. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming out tonight, and we hope you have a happy
Thank
holiday.
you so much.
All right, our next order of business is work session items, and first up is miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything under miscellaneous? Next order of business is old business. Does anyone have anything under old business? New business, Councilwoman Belcher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge, as many of you may already know, that Kwanzaa begins this December 26th and runs through January 1st. And Kwanzaa, for those that may or may not know, is a cultural holiday that's celebrated by many within our community. And I thought it was nice to be able to really just kind of like recognize it in celebration of Kwanzaa. So I just wanted to spend a moment to just speak to a resolution that acknowledges or celebrates this very, very important holiday. So give me 1 second and I'm going to bring it up. My computer doesn't. Yes. You have it, Mr. Clerk. Computer's acting up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So this is a resolution for Kwanzaa, and whereas Kwanzaa is celebrated annually from December 26th to January 1st, it's a holiday that honors African American heritage, culture, and community, and was established in 1966 by Dr. Malaya Karenga. And whereas the name Kwanzaa is derived from Swahili phrase meaning first fruits, and the celebration reflects African harvest traditions, encouraging reflection, unity, and collective purpose. Whereas Kwanzaa is guided by 7 core principles known as Saga, which represents the values and practices that strengthen individuals, families, and communities. Whereas there are 7 principles to Kwanzaa. First one being unity, to strive for more and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. 2 is self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. 3rd is collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. The 4th is collective economics, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores and shops and other businesses and to profit from them together. The 5th is purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. 6th is creativity, to always do as much as we can in the way we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And 7th is faith, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Whereas the town of Teaneck values the rich diversity of its community and recognizes the importance of celebrating traditions that promote unity, culture, and shared purpose. Whereas Kwanzaa provides an opportunity for all residents of Teaneck to reflect on these principles and their relevance to building a thriving and inclusive community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Teaneck Town Council that the council formally recognizes and celebrates Kwanzaa, encourages all residents to join in honoring Kwanzaa's principles as a way to strengthen our shared values of unity, purpose, and community. Thank you.
Belcher, you're making a motion to add this to the consent
Yes,
agenda?
I'm making a motion to add it.
Can I ask a question?
Second.
Sorry, if I could just ask a question. I know we discussed it. It was Councilman Oregon. She had mentioned we do a great Christmas event. We do a great Hanukkah event. If we could please start working on a Kwanzaa event. If it can't be for this year, I don't mean to spring on you. I know we discussed it briefly this week. Also, if you may, I could probably just Google this. When does it start in general? Is there like a
It starts on December 26th.
every year?
Every year.
Oh,
It's
that's a
always
fixed- it's a fixed
December
date.
26th and it runs to January 1st. And every day there is lighting of a candle representing all 7 of the principles.
Okay, so I think if we could definitely set something up this year or next, that great.
I'll ask Jackie if you can help with that for next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Belcher. Mr. Clerk, we have a first by Ms. Belcher and a second by Councilwoman Goldberg.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Belcher.
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Oregon.
Yes.
Anyone?
Deputy Mayor Katz. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
Added to the consent agenda as resolution 350. That's 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Does anyone have anything else under new business? No, moving along, communications. Moving along, committee reports by council liaisons. Deputy Mayor G.
So wanted to share on behalf of ABCR that they are hosting an in-person meeting on Monday, December 16th at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be open to the public at the Rhoda Center, rooms 2A and 2B. There will be some light refreshments served, and the purpose is really to bring the community together. So all are welcome. It's not going to be a formal sit-down meeting. It's meant to be an opportunity for folks to talk to one another. And so we are really encouraging everyone who is able to attend, get to know your ABCR members, get to know each other over some light refreshments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
December 16th, 7:30 p.m., Rhoda Center, 2A, 2B. 7:30 p.m. And just so you know, most of the ABCR meetings are held virtually. So one of the things that they're trying to do is try to get in person more frequently. I think nothing builds community better than seeing each other face to face. So.
Deputy Mayor, does anyone else have any committee reports? Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yep. So PPREB met the first of this month, and it was Glenna and Lisa's last meeting. So they did a nice farewell there. Also, James Brown decided that he didn't want to continue to serve anymore. So it was a nice farewell for him too. So first of all, I just want to thank Glenna, Lisa, and James. So I'm going to kind of go through this, Jackie. There's a few questions. So it's just faster this way. So they asked about an update on the pickleball courts since they seem to have stalled for a little bit. So can we get an update on that? They were also asking if there was access to Bergen Pack tickets for the senior rec program since it seems to be available for free in other towns. They've also continued their parks tour. So at the Maddie Feldman Nature Preserve, they felt that it would be a nice addition for some, I don't know how many people have walked through there, but it's literally a nature preserve and there's bird signs. And so they were saying that, can we embellish the fact that it's a nature preserve and have some bird stations in the preserve, which I thought was an interesting idea. They also went to Francis Hall Park and they've been discussing heavily the concept of quiet parks and pocket parks. But the quiet parks actually have a nice tie into the YAB Little Libraries, which is one of the reasons that they wanted to talk to them. On that same note, there's a small parcel of land on Hargraves and Ardsley, block 5507, lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, and 15. They're already on the Rossi, and they're identified as a place that they want to potentially look into us creating a quiet park there. So they asked if we can set up a time for, I guess maybe myself, Jackie, and the chairs, or maybe the whole board, whatever, to go with Farah to see if it would even be feasible for them to start designing a quiet park over there. So it's a small parcel. It's very small. And the block again is 5507, and it's lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, and 15. They also had mentioned in their parks tour that there's some equipment that might just need to be looked at MLK Park. And they wanted us to kind of see if they had any ideas that they feel that the splash pads, they're great in the summer, but they're a big space in the winter. If there's a creative idea that anyone has on how to winterize the splash pads so that they're usable in the winter. They've also started looking into senior playground equipment, which I know that the PPREB looked at, I want to say 2019 or 2020. Other cities are doing it. And then the last thing before I turn it over to Jackie was they had an ask for council, which I do support. They wanted to see if we could amend the membership there to include a liaison from the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. We have one for most there and Hackensack River, but since Senior Citizens Advisory Board does a parks update at each meeting, they felt that it would just make sense to have a liaison there for collaboration. That was a unanimous ask, so I don't know what everyone feels about it. I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with it as well. Can we connect with the chair?
Yeah, they had wanted, I don't want to say names. They had wanted the person that does the updates every time, but I spoke to him. He wasn't sure if he was interested
Got it.
time wise. So, but yes. So I don't know if everyone else, everyone else is okay with it or. Scott, for the January meetings, can we update the advisory board to add in a member to PPREB, so it's a liaison from Senior Citizens Advisory Board, please?
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Anyone else on? Yes, Ms. Belcher.
Kind of briefly, I just want to give an update. Historic Preservation Commission's doing some wonderful work around town. Many of you may have noticed the markers that are out that have been placed by DPW. So we're really excited about that. And then just affordable housing, our town manager will be reporting on the fine details, but we are in the phase of really reporting to DCA and really identifying parcels of land that we can identify to use as a means by which we can somewhat push back on the requirements in terms of high numbers for affordable units. So one thing I just want to mention too is that I attended and some of my colleagues attended to the League of Municipalities this year, and there was a lot of discussion about affordable housing, of course, and also ADUs. One of the most well-attended workshop was the one on ADUs. It probably had upwards to about 400 people in the room. So some exciting things that are happening around the state that I think our township can certainly glean and benefit from. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Belcher. Anybody else on council committee reports? Mr. Schwartz.
Mr. Clerk, where is that report? Is it in the, it's in the agenda? No problem. Okay, just want to make sure, sorry. Last week we had a sub-zoning committee report. Okay, sorry about that. Last week we had a sub-zoning committee report. We had some excellent updates going through over the next few weeks. You'll see 100 State Street and 140 State Street come to the council based on the presentation that was made to the public in November. We also discussed a potential new development where the Regina's is. No action steps are being taken right now by council on that. Additionally, in the report, we discussed Shepherd Woods and state of New Jersey as it relates to some land swaps for the Route 4 widening bridge renovation of traffic report. Amongst that, there were a few other small items that were discussed. Please take a look at it. We such as a redevelopment agency, which we reviewed the pros and cons. There were no pros, so we're not taking any steps. Also, interestingly enough, the housing authority was discussed, and what we've learned with the housing authority is one goal or one idea that this council's always wanted was how can we take our low-income housing but keep it in-house when we work hard to develop it. And a housing authority allows us to do that. But a housing authority, those units do not count towards our affordable housing commitments, which were already behind the 8 ball, as is every town in New Jersey. So we decided to take no action on that because it's just, we'd have to build hundreds of more and then hundreds more. So that was really the gist of the zoning committee. It was a great meeting. Lastly, our fence representative is here tonight. Some changes are going to be coming up in the next few council meetings as it relates to corner lots and fencing and the settlement, the back and forth, which was interesting, was and our applicant wasn't too happy with it, was we'll allow those fencing on the corners, but we'll require the top six or so inches of it to be lattice or see-through to kind of not make it look like a stockade. So some interesting things coming. I thank everyone that participated in that. And if anyone has any questions, when you read it, members of the public as well, always feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Any other committee reports? Our next order of business is council listed items. First up, New Jersey traffic camera law, Mr. Schwartz.
Yes. We've unfortunately had some hit and runs in the last few weeks. We actually had another one, another pedestrian struck yesterday, not a hit and run. The victim was okay. Unfortunately, that was not the case last time. And many of us who drive in New York have speed cameras. There's red light cameras. And people are like, why don't we have that here? And it's just incredibly to learn that the state of New Jersey does not allow it. They don't allow it. They came with a ton of excuses. And the fact is that we need it. And what I like is for our council to draft a resolution and for our clerks to send out to the Bergen County towns as well to urge our assembly members to get this going. I can't think of any reason why we are not pressuring our legislators to allow for it. And it's embarrassing when a member of the public's like, why don't we have cameras? And I'm like, they don't allow it. I mean, it just makes no sense. So if we have some nodding heads, I'd like our attorney and our collector.
I have a question for the attorney. I don't know if he knows. So I know that this hasn't been a thing since like 2014. Why did it was a pilot program and then it went away. Do you know why? I'm just curious.
The state passed a law that abandoned.
Do you know why?
There were some concerns over your, essentially, when you're being charged with any criminal offense, you have the right to face your accuser. And there were some concerns over the right to face that is a computer, whereas it's not a person that can be cross-examined during a case. So over those concerns. So I think it makes about half of the states in the country allow these kinds of cameras, about half don't. But New Jersey has adopted a law that says do it.
I have a follow-up question. If we were to have them, who would get the revenue from the tickets? Would it be the local municipality?
It would be the local, yeah.
I mean, we're here for the safety, but yeah, I like the question, but we're here for the safety. Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. I like the idea, and I think you have at least 4 nodding heads. Next order of business, Street Smart New Jersey, Ms. Goldberg.
All right, so I have 2 back-to-back council listed items. So the first one, Street Smart New Jersey. So the agenda packet has the printout, the details for everyone's curious. So we've had 2 recent hit and runs in Teaneck. One unfortunately had a fatality. And I think that there's really an urgent need for us to address the traffic and pedestrian safety, both. But we have the unique issue that a lot of our roads are county roads. So Bergen County is currently undergoing a local safety action plan. So with, I'm gonna get the name of the place, NJTPA, so New Jersey Transit Planning Authority, to work on the safety on county roads, which is good because that means they're spending the money on roads that impact Teaneck residents. It's basically they're formalizing the data so that the county can identify and then prioritize the road safety projects on the county roads. So we have Teaneck Road, Queen Anne Road, River Road, Cedar Lane. I don't know if I'm missing anything. So I'm asking, first of all, that we have our manager make sure that there's a survey through the county, that it's on the website. A lot of the other towns of Bergen County have done it because the more data that they're getting from our residents, our police, DPW about problem roads, the more that we can prioritize and get some of the funding when they roll out the next piece of that. And the other part of this is same umbrella organization has a program called Street Smarts New Jersey. Oradell is doing it right now. And it's a combination of an enforcement and public safety campaign that has been proven in municipalities. I think it's like 200 municipalities across the state have done it. It's literally done for you. Like we have to, which I'm going to ask in a second, that we form a task force with members of council, the manager, the police, and I was thinking the engineer and a member of Complete Streets probably makes sense, just given their expertise. And then it's literally it's done. And I think we missed the opportunity for grant funding for it for 2025. So depending on how it works, but they do cover the police overtime. There's a grant for it for the enforcement and community forums that the police would have to do. Like I said, Oradell is doing it right now. So if anyone wants to just look at their social media and get a sense of what's going on, they're doing this. It's a whole traffic pedestrian safety
I like
plan.
This is, I'd like to be on the task. Great one.
So my ask is that we create the task force and the task force would, one, work with the manager and the whole task force to roll this out, and then two, help make sure that the LSAP is on the website. I think the fact that Mayor Pagan works at the county it's actually your department. Even better.
All day long, working with.
And my last ask also, and again, we have a number of county roads, and I think that the police need to kind of give us the data first, but I believe that we should be asking the county to do a traffic study at our more dangerous intersections, and it's their roads. They would be able to do the traffic study. Those are my asks, so.
I have an addendum. I don't want to, I mean, if we can, first of all, if we're going to ask at the county if they can do it this century, it'd be great, just saying. And to explain, maybe giving directions how to get to Teaneck. The second thing entirely different, but I do have an update under roads. The manager just got a small little update on the potential circular roundabout that we were discussing as it relates to Queen Anne, Ayers, Core, and State Street. So I am more for the public because people have asked me for an update. We just got that like a little schematic an hour ago, so we'll get that out into the public in the next week or so as it relates. There's a heavy cost, 6-digit cost to do that, but that's extremely.
Does it matter that's? Oh wait, Ayers, is that on Queen Anne Road or
Queen Anne Road? It's not a county.
So
not
Queen Anne is a county road.
Oh, here, interesting. So we could put this in the recycling bin to nowhere, or we could keep pushing it forward.
I did speak with one of the commissioners about this, and they were the ones that recommended. So we can do one on Queen Anne Road.
Oh, hopeful.
Yeah. So that's my ask. So I don't know if anyone has any feelings on this, or
So this would be a task force?
it would be a task
Task
force.
force,
Yeah.
Okay with it.
Okay. So I would I did a lot of the homework on it. I would like to be on it. Do we need a third? I mean, I'm up to not. Otherwise, the packet, the rest of the members is based off the packet from Street Smart. So it's the manager, a member of the police department. They say a member of a community organization is focused on like pedestrian safety. So my thought was the Complete Streets program. They're very heavily
Michael
involved with it.
Rockland. Michael Rockland.
Okay.
Okay. 8-0 for him.
Yeah. And engineering.
I
I
gave him your
think.
cell phone number. so
The traffic
stuff
department
used.
falls under police. Yeah. So
And you may want to think about like age friendly because of the fact that, we're talking about the
Mm.
input of
for
seniors.
this, yeah,
for
that's a
seniors.
good idea. So, okay, I'm good with that. So do we need a motion?
Yes.
We're good?
a
Okay.
motion.
I would like to make a motion to formalize the task force.
What was the name of it, Councilwoman? I'm sorry, Street Smart Task Force?
Yeah.
And it's a member from the police department, the manager, you, Mayor
Mayor,
Pagan, and
yeah.
Mayor Rockland.
Wait, hold on. And the engineer, and I like the idea of somebody from age-friendly Teaneck. Are we also okay with asking the county to do a traffic study on our county roads? I guess we'd have to get the specific intersections from the police department for the high areas, but given everything else, and it would come out of their budget.
Or you could meet first, come up with a plan and then reach out to them.
Well, I reached out to one of the commissioners, and this was their recommendation that we ask because they have the funding for it right now through the LSA program. So I just don't know what the intersection is, so I'm going to defer to the police and W to advise that. Good? Okay, thank you.
I have another item.
I do. So social media, so we've heard a lot from, I know so advisory boards wanting social media accounts. And I had reached out to the attorney, so I wanted to just kind of see what everyone thought. We don't have a policy as far as the social media, and the advisory boards are an extension of council, which means that they are subject to Oprah. So my ask is that in order to protect the town as far as Oprah and I don't know, and other legal issues that I'm just not thinking of, that we have the attorney create a policy so that the advisory boards can have their own social media accounts while the town still complies with the regulations and laws that we're required to do. The other part of that, I was asked, I don't know what post it was. There was a post and there was kids and got a message that, did the parents sign a waiver? I have no idea, but I guess that was the thing that we should probably consider as well. So I don't know if anyone has any concerns about it, but I know the advisory boards want social media, and I think this is a good way to make sure that we're protecting the town and making that work for them too.
So I really think this is a larger discussion. My concern about the social media pages, I'm not sure where I land on this, but the more social media pages we have, the harder it is for us to wrangle. And whose job is it going to be to monitor all the pages? I think the other, issue that we have is that folks don't even know where to go. They get more content from municipal pages than they do from official government pages. And I would love if we somehow work towards directing people to our township page. I think a better system would be to make sure all of our advisory boards provide content to whoever's managing the government page and we put it all there. Maybe for some advisory boards, it makes more sense than others. So I'm not sure how I feel about a policy that applies to all. Yeah, so I have mixed feelings about this one.
Real quick, I'm actually a little alarmed and concerned about this because at the county, we have a policy and the county has way more departments and divisions. And there were some issues in the past with certain divisions that were posting things that they were not supposed to. And then they had to create a policy at the county where it goes through the county executive's office. And so each division department want to post something. And I know it slows things down because when it comes to social media, faster, but they were able to avoid a couple of lawsuits because there were a couple of people that were a little offended. Some divisions and departments did without consulting legal and or the county executive's office. And I'm not trying to compare and contrast us to the county because the county is a way bigger animal than we are at the county, and we have less departments and divisions and staff. But I actually do think we should have a policy when it comes to social media. And I thought we discussed something like this in the past, but I guess we never finalized it. Do you remember that, Mr. Clerk?
We had discussed at a point establishing in a policy manual update a social media policy for our entire organization because that is needed. And I know that it's something that's still in the works that we should zero in on, which it sounds like that was in the consideration also, right? Employees, volunteers, council members, board members, how to conduct ourselves on social media in such a way to make sure that the organization is not liable, perhaps for words that an individual shares.
Just to kind of answer, I guess, both questions. So I don't know who manages our social media now, but I think that I'm serious, but we have Oprah we have to, there's retention issues there. And I'm sure there's, like I said, there's other things. And I was asked about a waiver. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know, Scott, what do you think?
And Ms. Belcher after
Oh,
Scott.
sorry, I apologize.
I mean, we can easily agree and create all these things. I think it's really a question of how actively it's enforced and used. If it's kind of thing that we're going to draft and use it consistently, then it's helpful. But if the boards on board that they're actually going to do it, then it can't hurt. But it's not a good thing to have. If not.
Ms. Belcher, you had.
So I kind of remember this discussion about social media and coming up with best practices and some type of standards of practice, almost like a code of conduct. And I kind of agree with Deputy Mayor G that I think we are best served to drive traffic to our own website, to our own social media, because of the fact that when people are looking for information, we want to ensure that they're getting clear information, accurate information, and so forth. So we have social media pages. I would suggest that perhaps if we have advisory board members to work with, that want a social media presence, is to work with our clerk to say, these are the posts that we'd like to see posted. These are the things that we'd like to communicate to the community. Because I think, having each advisory board manage their own social media page can be kind of, recipe for a problem. So I would recommend maybe bringing those individual advisory boards and maybe convening a meeting with Doug to have, a clear-cut idea as to exactly what they want to post and what kind of social media presence they want.
That would be a policy. I mean, we just heard that Yab wanted to have an Instagram, which I'm fine with, but that Instagram is owned by the township and then subject to Oprah and whatever other rules.
Great point. Who's better able to speak to Oprah than our clerk?
That's
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
100%. That's literally why I'm saying I want to do this, because I want to make sure that we're covered, they're covered. Literally 100%.
But I would say, let's build upon our social media footprint as opposed to allowing our advisory boards to create their own.
That's didn't come across. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
I apologize. I didn't come across. I meant, and the township should own the page. Like what I mean, yeah.
So we speak to compliance. Is it in
Exactly.
compliance? Is it a standard? Is it outside of what we want our brand to be?
Correct.
Because I think that one of the discussions we need to have, and I remember speaking about this, is that we do want to have our social media presence speak to the brand that we want to portray to the outside world.
Yeah, you're 100%. That's what I don't want is the boards have, like, what you're saying is spot on. Like the advisory boards are a function of the town, so we want to make sure that it's uniform.
Ms. Organ.
It sounds like everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So we just bought Doug another hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Mr. Clerk, you got that?
Oh, wait.
Because there was a lot of back and
Scott,
forth.
Can you do that for January?
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goldberg. Next up, Township Managers Report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council and township residents. Please join us for the township's menorah lighting scheduled for December 26th at 5:30 p.m. on the municipal green. All are welcome to attend. Please join us at the reorganization of our township council scheduled for January 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Rota Center in gym number 2. All are welcome as well. The next planning board meeting in reference to the master plan is scheduled for December 12th at 7 p.m. at the Rota Center. Please see our website for additional details and documentation. The Department of Public Works is closing out our 2024 leaf collection efforts, but continue to have 4 crews systematically picking up curbside leaf piles. The township offered an extension until December 9th. No additional leaf piles can be placed curbside for collection. To date, a total of 16,300 cubic yards of leaves have been collected. I would like to thank our DPW Director, Trevon Romeo, and Assistant Superintendent Mike Sermabikian for overseeing this operation, and to all of our DPW staff for their hard work, as we know this was a very difficult leaf collection season. Any questionable areas that should be brought to our attention, please do so as soon as possible, as we will be closing out the leaf collection season. The Cedar Lane paving project is complete, with the exception of some roadway lines being painted this week. I appreciate the cooperation of our residents while we navigated the difficulties of this very busy roadway. I would like to acknowledge the outstanding efforts of our traffic bureau, who personally assisted the Cedar Lane businesses during the paving project. Our annual toy drive continues until December 13th. Drop-off locations are listed on our website, and a holiday gathering for family pickup is scheduled for December 19th at the Rota Center from 6 to 9 p.m. Our COVID memorial stone was delivered today and is on display outside Township Hall. We will plan an unveiling ceremony in the coming weeks. In response to the drone sightings in our area, the Teaneck Police Department is aware of the recent surge both locally and across the state. While there is currently no known threat in the public safety, the FBI, New Jersey State Police, and the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness are urging the public to remain vigilant. If you spot a drone or any related suspicious activity in your neighborhood, please report it immediately. I have posted the contact information on our social media platforms for your convenience. Some grant updates I have for you tonight. We have 2 grant hearings coming up tonight for both Argonne Park and Voti Park. The Argonne Park grant is an NJDEP grant for Green Acres. This grant will focus on the upgrade of the restrooms and installation of a splash pad. Total estimated cost of this project is $750,000, and the grant is a 50% matching grant. The Voti Park grant is for the Jake's Law Program grant, and it will focus on the enhancement and upgrade of our existing all-inclusive playground. The estimated cost of this project is around 1.5 million, and we would qualify for 50% of this grant since the cap is $750,000. We are currently in the application phase for both of these grant opportunities, and I will keep you updated as to the status. The township has also been advised of a grant award in the amount of $381,000 through the NJDEP Work Clean Diesel Modernization Grant Program. We continue to work on our CDBG grant applications and a FEMA Assistance to Firefighters grant due the end of this month. Moving on to some of our project updates. The Voti Park restroom building is being delivered sometime next week. I'm happy to report that the Bell Avenue drainage project has been officially approved, which means we received the digitally signed document from the EPA in the amount of the $1.3 million. I have confirmed with our township engineer that we are still on track with our design phase for this project. The survey has been approved, and we are still in communications about the compensation fee. Our Herrick Park project update, the baseball field diamond is complete, fence posts are in place, and curbing for the basketball courts is complete as well. The contractor is now working on the gravel base for the walkway. The spray park equipment has arrived, and the restroom foundation is ready for delivery. The playground foundation work is scheduled for later this month, and I continue to work with our project link for our township engineer, so residents will be able to go on our website and click on a project link, and it'll give you up-to-date information. I'm looking to go live with that link sometime in January, so I'll give an update next meeting. The Palisade Ave improvement project, the construction is complete, and the contractor is just addressing some punch list items to include the pavement markings. Bike lane improvements are in the design phase, and we will plan to include some of the Lucy Avenue drainage upgrades to this project which was brought to our attention last meeting. The Argonne Park tennis courts, our design phase is complete, and the project is due to go out to bid within the next few months. The Sagamore Park improvement project is also in the design phase, and we're exploring vendors for that project. The 2024 road resurfacing program is underway. We have currently identified the roadways, and we're preparing the budget. Lastly, the Grayson and Prince intersection, I have an update that both solar speed signs have been installed on that roadway for safety. Lastly, I'd just like to wish everyone a happy holiday season and a blessed new year. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hashmat. Mr. Salmon, Township Attorney's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So as we're coming to the end of my my first term as Township Attorney, I want to give a quick recap of some of the things that the law department has been up to the past 17 months. I think it can be hard for residents to see what we're doing. One of the still secretive.
You saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing on my list. We're one of the most secretive departments, just the nature of it. So I just want to give residents a little bit of insight into some of the things we're up to. First thing is saving money. We've been able to, last year we were able to decrease our legal budget by about $50,000 to save the taxpayers some money. This year, or we're keeping our budget flat. I'm expecting that next year we are in for a significant decrease as well. So we'll be saving even more money next year. Alongside that, we have resolved approximately 21 long-standing lawsuits against the township. Some of them were 3, 4, 5 years old, bringing our total number of active cases down to just 5, which is more in line with a municipality of our size. I'm expecting that to have some long-term ramifications, long-term benefits, I should say, for the township in terms of costs, both from the lawyers are going to be charging less with fewer cases. It's also going to help with our insurance bills over time, GFCs that we are not a legal liability. Third, in working with the clerk's office, namely Doug and Kristen, who are here, We've significantly decreased our backlog of OPA requests. Most part, we are getting our responses out within a week or so, which is a significantly increased turnaround time from what we've seen in previous. And last, we've helped the council draft a number of significant ordinances, including one that cleaned up our township charter for the first time since 1988 when it was adopted. We helped draft call it a hotly debated ordinance related to backyard chickens. Maybe most importantly, an ordinance that is up for adoption tonight that will significantly streamline our land use boards and make them much more transparent and accessible to the public. That's just some of the things that we've been doing, and I would just want to take this opportunity to thank the many lawyers that helped the township conduct this business. And thank you to the council as well.
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. You and your team are appreciated. Our next order of business is formal meeting items. And first up is a public hearing on a New Jersey Green Acres application for improvements to Argonne Park. Mr. Clerk, do you have to read anything into the record before we open up the public hearing?
No, sir. We have this application information in the agenda. We actually also printed out some hard copies for the public tonight if they were so behooved to take a gander. And this public hearing, two separate public hearings, one for Argonne Park, one for Votee Park. It's part of our grant requirements. So we need to hold a public hearing just on one at a time, one on the Argonne Park application and one on the Votee Park application. First up is Argonne Park. So if we have anyone from the public that wishes to speak for no more than 3 minutes on this specific application, now is your time. General Good and Welfare will be coming in a few minutes. Again, this is a public hearing just for our Argonne Park.
Nobody want to talk about Argonne Park? In that case, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you, Mayor. And we need to do the same thing
Yep.
for our Votee Park application. And just for a reminder to council, these resolutions are on our consent agenda. So we will be considering them with our sweep in a little bit.
Does anybody want to talk about the Green Acres application for Votee Park? Seeing no hands, the public hearing on that is closed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
You, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is our public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the titles of the ordinances into the record?
Yes, sir. These are the last ordinances we consider for the year 2024. We have ordinance number 28-2024, amending the Township Code to revise parking laws regarding towing fees. We have ordinance number 29-2024, amending the Township Code to revise municipal fees. Ordinance number 30-2024, amending the Township Code for the Township of Teaneck to modernize and clarify procedures for land use applications. Last but not least, again, the last ordinance of 2024 is ordinance 31-2024, amending the Township Code to revise development regulations regarding fence permits. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Does anyone in I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Salmon.
So the fence permit ordinance, I'm going to ask that the council table that one. We had referred it to the planning board as required to do because it's a development regulation. The planning board was not able to consider it, but because of the timing of how our meetings worked, we can't. The council can't adopt it until the 35 days have expired, which haven't expired yet. So we're not going to be, unless the council wants to have a special meeting before the end of the year, we're not going to be able to consider again before then. So it has to be tabled and we can bring it up again in January.
Okay, so you're talking about ordinance number 31.
That's correct.
In that case, I move to table it.
Second.
Sorry, Councilman Schwartz.
Yeah, that motion to, yes.
Yes, Councilwoman Belcher.
Yes.
Councilman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilman Morgan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz. Deputy Mayor G.
He's off.
Yeah, he had to bounce. Deputy
Yes.
Mayor G. Mayor Began.
Yes.
Table.
Does anyone in chambers want to talk just about these three ordinances and these three ordinances alone? Dr. Powers.
Scott Powers, Teaneck. I don't know where it came from, but ordinance 30-2024 is one of the best ordinances this township has seen to deal with our land use questions. We certainly need to know when we get to a meeting, what is the complete application? And we certainly need to have the full 10 days in preparation for any site plan approval. And I don't know who brought this forward, and I believe your attorney drafted it. It is a extraordinarily important ordinance to try to clarify and get our land use boards much more available to the public. And I also appreciate the attorney moving to table the fences. I don't know what the purpose of that was, and until the planning board has a chance to talk about it so we can understand why. That's an ordinance that, when I assume will come back, that that would have said that fences, private fences, do not require a permit. They were exempted from all the permit rules, and this ordinance would require the fences be included. But how and why, and I think that's something that the planning board should certainly decide is consistent with whatever master plan we happen to have by then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Anyone else in chambers? Mr. Sohn?
Alan Stone, Teaneck resident, as a resident and as a member of the planning board, I've seen from both sides the opacity, the lack of information about applications that are in front of the land use boards, whether it be the Board of Adjustment or the planning board. And I share that thanks to say that there should be a clearer process where every applicant knows what they're going through, where the members of the public and the members of the land use boards themselves have a clearer understanding of what's coming forward, what documents are available, what is being considered, so that there's much greater clarity as to what's being reviewed. I think this helps everybody involved. It helps the applicants, it helps the township, it helps the building department, it helps the members of the land use board, it helps the members, the professionals, the attorneys who are working for the land use board. Too often I've seen things falling through the cracks, and that should never happen in a township of this size. I think that whether it's members of the public having notification, noting what's going on with these applications, this is exactly the kind of process that should have been created a long time ago. It's a credit to this township that hopefully it will be adopted tonight. And again, I think that whether it's members of the public or members of the land use boards, everyone involved in this process will be better off going forward. This ensures that things don't slip through the cracks, that the township gains those resources, especially escrow funds, to cover the costs of much of the process that had not been collected before. I think this goes above and beyond in terms of above the savings that the attorney has described. This is a process that really improves the way this township works and the entire application process has functioned. Again, I hope this passes, and again, thank you for doing so.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn. Anyone else in chambers want to talk just about these three bills? Seeing no hands, Mr. Clerk, the person in Zoom.
We have Keith Kaplan. Please feel free to unmute.
Working on that. Can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes, sir.
clear.
Hello. So I was just taking a look at Ordinance 30-2024 and had a couple notes I just wanted to mention. One, it seems that the ordinance in Section 3 creates Article 7, which was already created in Ordinance 4-2024 from earlier this year. It one might think it was a Scrivener's error, but it does remove 33-39 and makes it reserved, which was part of the electric vehicle infrastructure ordinance, which was 4-2024, but it adds seemingly 33-40, which was also included in the previous 4-2024. So there's something strange going on there. On the substance of the ordinance, in section 33-40, under M, conformity required, it adds a line, digital copies shall be required for all documents submitted to the administrative officer. And this is for any application which requests a variance or site plan approval. I had had this idea when I was on council and asked the experts and the architects and whatnot, and the response that I got was, for most large applications, it's not a problem. They can gladly submit a digital copy. But for the grandma whose AC unit goes out and has, a hard copy survey of her property, and she comes in and asks for a permit to do a new AC unit, well, that's fine. except with this ordinance, because once you do that, she's going to have electronic surveys. And that means she's going to, despite the ordinance that says you don't need to pay for a survey again, she's going to have to go and get surveys again and, sit sweltering in the house and, for lack of any other reason. What we did when I was on the planning board and when I was on council was just ask the applicants for a digital copy. I think 100% of them wound up giving it to us, and there were no large applications that the public did not have the benefit of the electronic copy. But requiring an electronic and digital application and digital copies of everything required, including the surveys and the expert information, is going to pose a very big detriment to those on fixed incomes, and seemingly for no benefit. Someone comes in for a fence application. I mean, yeah, you need to know where the fence is going, but just knowing the survey that you've already had on file for the past 20 years suffices. But adding, several $1,000s for them to now have electronic requirements in addition to the raised fees is going to be burdensome. So I suggest some sort of update there to make it better for the residents while still achieving its purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Mr. Clerk, you have one more person on Zoom.
Michael Klatsky.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'd like to weigh in on this topic as well. To just continue a
Mike,
bit.
one second. One second.
Michael,
Mike, go
sorry,
ahead.
we're having a little technical difficulty here for a split second.
No problem.
It's not on your end, Mike. Just 1 second. Sorry. Can you hear? And never mind. Michael,
The floor is yours,
3
Mr.
minutes.
Klatsky.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk and Council. I'd like to continue this topic of conversation about the electronic plan submissions and the surveys and other plan documentation as well. I've had the opportunity to do quite a bit of this over the past couple of years in other municipalities. And it seems that one of the ways that people do get around this issue, which is a very real issue when somebody comes in for a small thing, and in Teaneck, the AC thing is actually quite common, whether they're giving in some building plans or electrical plans, mechanical plans from the manufacturer, whatever it is. Not everybody has access to a wide format scanner to create digital files or the ability to convert their documents to PDF to send it off and so on and so forth. And then you have people who are just, whether they're just not familiar with creating these type of files and so on. There is a solution. The solution seems to be to create a kiosk at the building department where somebody who has a paper application, they walk up to the counter and they chat with the clerk there and they talk about their application. They say they have some files and so on. And for the purpose of creating a digital twin of all your paper files, the administrative staff who's at the counter can go there to the kiosk with the person who's not familiar with digital plan files. And they can go and they could scan all the paper with them. They can type in the information into the system. They can, if they have a big plan, chances are somebody's doing an apartment building with a 300-page plan set. They're going to want to send it to you digitally. They don't really want to print it 10 times. It's like $1,000 in printing costs. But if you're talking about the homeowner who's doing a small thing, has a paper survey that they got when they bought the house or when they refinanced their mortgage, they might have that folded up somewhere in a file. They can bring it to town hall. The administrative staff can take it to a wide format scanner, scan it really quickly. Maybe it'll take a minute or two, save the PDF file, bring it along with the application and kind of walk them through it. And this happens fairly infrequently because these type of things don't come up every day. The majority of applications at most building departments are either through whether it's through attorneys, expediters and stuff like that. You're really not going to see that many of these cases come up. So it is manageable for the staff. And that's how I recommend that the council consider moving forward with this if they do that. Thanks and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Klatsky. Seeing Mr. Rose.
Good evening, Howard Rose. Just a quick question. I don't know why it's not valid to just use a survey that everyone supplies when they buy their property initially. If there's been no changes and it's on record with the township, why isn't that record available? And it could be scanned by the township or photocopied by the township or just used. I mean, it's there. It's correct. It's appropriate. Why is there a problem?
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Seeing no further hands, this public hearing is closed. Mr. Attorney, before I open it up to council, you wanted to address a couple of items?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I first want to say the numbering issue is not a substantive issue, and in my opinion, it's something that gets can either be adjusted by us or be adjusted by E-code when they upload the ordinances to the adopted ordinance to the internet. Second, in terms of the discussion about digital copies, we spoke with all the township's professionals in drafting this. We consulted with more than a dozen other municipalities in New Jersey. I think it was closer to 15 or 16 different municipalities that we consulted with in drafting this. Every single one of them had already adopted an ordinance that required digital copies. Every single one agreed that it was a best practice. It made things significantly easier both for the board professionals to review, made it easier to get everything to the members of the boards who don't necessarily visit town hall frequently to pick up paper copies of things. It makes things cheaper in many instances for residents in that, I think as Mr. Klatsky said, they only have to provide one digital copy as opposed to a dozen or more paper copies. And that it also makes it easier, for public transparency's sake, in that we are able to easily upload everything to the internet and make it available to members of the public. As it stands now, the township either is supposed to be making digital copies themselves, or simply doesn't in a number of instances, and therefore makes it harder for members of the public to access this. I think it's again, both a best practice and something that is money well spent, and a minimum requirement of people who want to apply to the land use boards. So we would stand behind that. But Mr. Klatsky's suggestion as to making essentially a kiosk available, I think is a good one. I think that's something that the township can do. I don't think we need to make any changes to the ordinance to do that. I think that could be something we do through, I'll say through the back end, and don't need to do a public vote or anything.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Anyone on council have anything? In that case, I move to approve all three ordinances, Mr. Clerk.
That's a first from our mayor. Is there a second?
Schwartz.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G,
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
All ordinances adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is good and welfare. Any member of the public wishing to be heard at this time will be called on and will come forward and state their names for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. If you are on Zoom, please list your first name and your last name so our clerk can call on you, and please turn on your camera when addressing council. Thank you. I see a cute little baby in the room, so I'm going to ask her mother first if she would like to speak since it is a school night. It's nice to see you again, Ms. Feinberg.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members, thank you very much. I came this evening in part to say I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, unlike those of us on Bell Avenue who spent roughly half the day bailing our basements out again in the rain. This problem, I know we now have funding, but we keep getting these kind of very amorphous platitudes. It's in the process. It's working. So I'm here tonight to ask for specifics. I want to know what the engineers are doing and what their deadline is. I want to know when their plan is going to be complete and when we're going to break ground and when the tanks are going to be in Sagamore Park so that I can stop bailing out my basement during holidays with my family. This is really hard. My house is dropped value by almost a third, while everyone else's in Teaneck has risen during the year that I've owned it. I can't move. I can't do anything because I can't lose a third of its value. You don't have to worry about it. I'll pick them all up at the end. Thank you so much. And I would, again, put a plug in for the single moms out there who have a vested interest in the way our town is run, to see some level of good and welfare at the beginning of a meeting so that you don't have toddlers and infants screaming and walking around and parents trying to balance in the middle of a meeting, so that we can simply speak for literally a minute and 20 seconds to be 2 hours past bedtime. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Feinberg. I'm going to call on a couple more people in chambers before we go on to Zoom. Anyone in chambers want to speak? Sir.
Hi, Council. Robert Lazaroff, Teaneck resident. In the past few years, residents of Teaneck who live in this vicinity of Beverly Road and the Stop and Shop supermarket have learned that the nearby parking lots have been designated areas in need of redevelopment by the powers that be in Teaneck. There have been many presentations given by town employees and representatives informing us that we need parking garages, that we need apartment buildings there. But to me and many of my neighbors, the real area in need of redevelopment is Cedar Lane. And I'm not talking about the surface of the road repaved or the condition of the sidewalks. I'm talking about the commercial ghost town that once was the heart of Teaneck. While many main streets of our neighboring towns are joyful hubs this time of year, much of Cedar Lane is commercially deserted. These dark and empty storefronts seem to define Cedar Lane as 2024 comes to a close. I walked down Cedar Lane this past Sunday, December 8th, beginning on Elm to Palisade Avenue, then back. I counted 99 commercial properties on the stretch, and of the 99, 16 are vacant storefronts. 16% of the storefronts on that stretch of Cedar Lane are vacant, more than 1 out of 6. And some of these dirty, empty windows were once huge stores or restaurants. Remember Dollarland? Right next to Noah's Ark? Of course you do, because even though it closed years ago, its dilapidated sign minus the R, an empty hulk of a storefront, is there to remind you, like a depressing ghost of holidays past. How about the Taipei Noodle House? How many years ago did they serve their last meal? And like Dollarland, it's an empty shell of a storefront with a big aging sign indicating what is no longer there. And we can now add the now shuttered Kentucky Fried Chicken to the list, the iconic Bischoff's that was briefly reborn as Guerrero's and is now vacant. And Empire Hunan is also gone, which had been a Cedar Lane staple since I moved to Teaneck in 1993. It is insulting to the residents who live nearby that so much energy of this council has been spent trying to convince us of the need to build multi-level parking garages and apartment buildings near Cedar Lane. It is insulting because the wish for this new construction does nothing to address the fundamental issue of the commercial neglect that is visible to anyone walking down Cedar Lane. If there's any place in Teaneck that has earned the stigma of an area in need of redevelopment, it is Cedar Lane itself, not the nearby parking lots. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lazaroff. The gentleman on the aisle, I saw his hand go up first.
Simon Krischer, proud resident of Teaneck for close to 35 years. Is this better? Simon Krischer, proud resident of Teaneck for close to 35 years, member of the Teaneck Swim Club for close to 30 years. This has been a tough year for everyone, not aided by people from other communities being bussed into this town council meeting to push their own agendas, to spread their own vitriol for whatever purpose. This is a Teaneck Town Council, and I come here now to speak on behalf of the Teaneck Swim Club. It still is a driving force in bringing people into the town. It's one place that truly believes in hate has no home here. No matter what your religion, creed, color, race, orientation, everyone is welcome there. During the summertime, no matter what, you'll always find, there are no us or them. There are just people who want to swim, people who want to dive, people who want to splash in the water, teenagers who want to mingle and socialize, children who want to play with friends, adults who want to sit around soaking in the rays, meeting and chatting and talking no matter with whom. And now, after many years, the swim club is falling on hard times, and the town wants them to default. Please don't let them default. Please don't make them default. Please remember that this is something that brings people into Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krishner. Mr. Yuck.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Philip Yucht, Bell Avenue. So first of all, I want to second what Mr. Lazaroff was just saying. I couldn't have said it more eloquently. He spoke so well. He's absolutely right, 100%. I want to, first of all, there are a number of things I want to say. First of all, I want to encourage the council, and the reorganization is happening in just a few weeks, and I want to encourage you to re-elect Michael Pagan as mayor of Teaneck. He has done an excellent job through some very difficult times in the town, and I think he is the best suited for the job. So please keep that in mind. A couple of our residents who don't live in my area, who don't live in the neighborhood association that I sometimes represent, have asked me to speak on a couple issues. One is that they would, these are people who live around the Queen Anne Road area in the southeast section of town. They asked me to appeal to the council to consider building a footbridge to Stop and Shop so that they don't have to walk over to Cedar Lane and then all around and back across multiple streets. I think it's not a bad idea. I know, we haven't fixed the footbridge over the tracks yet on the other side of town, but I think that that's something you ought to just keep in mind for the future. They also asked, which I think really makes a lot of sense. I was there today and I sat there for several red lights before I could turn, that you put in a left turn light on Queen Anne Road, similar to the one that exists on Palisade Avenue and Cedar Lane. It would make traffic move much more readily. So I encourage you to consider that. In terms of the development, you know where I stand with all this development, but I just want to ask a question to the council. What are we getting? What kind of consideration or compensation are we getting to give away multiple acres of municipal land to a developer? I would like to know, other than a pilot, who's paying for that land? That land is worth millions of dollars. Who's paying for it? Are we getting any money, or are we just getting apartment buildings? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yuck. The gentleman in the front row with the cane. Take your time, sir. Take your time.
I'm glad you didn't include that in my 3 minutes. I've never spoken before the council before. I've been Michael Robinson. I've been a member of we've lived in this township for 41 years, and I've been a member of the Teaneck Swim Club for 30 years. I'm not going to speak as a board member. I'm going to speak as a person that thinks this is an incredibly valuable asset to the community. We have a main pool, we have a lap pool, we have a kiddie pool, we have tennis courts, we have games, we have a snack bar, we have adequate parking. It's a place to go and be with your friends and to schmooze. And I heard several things mentioned today, the term community, and it is part of this community. And I believe that the only way we're going to be able to maintain it is to have a public-private partnership with the township. I think it's valuable for the township. I think by doing that, it makes the swim club more affordable, excuse me, for its current members and affordable for members of the town. And I think it's important that we include everybody in the town to be able to have the opportunity to use the swim club. And it would be a shame if this facility was to close because we were not had enough foresight to do what I think would work best for everybody, not just the members and not just a small group of people, but for all of the residents of our township. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. The lady in the third row in the aisle seat.
Sure. Thank you. You're welcome. Good evening.
Council. My name is Gina Mannix. I'm a longtime Teaneck resident. I've lived here for over 45 years. I've been with my family, a member of the Teaneck Swim Club for almost 40 years. It's a wonderful asset for the community, and I know that the club has had some difficulties financially and has been in conversations with members of the council and the township. And I urge you to consider making this work for the town. It is a wonderful asset. We've got 3 generations, our family, numerous neighbors who've enjoyed the swim club. It's just, at the time when you're investing in the parks, this is an incredible recreational and social opportunity and a community building opportunity. So please make this work, save this asset, and enhance living in Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manis. Doug, we're going to call on some people on Zoom now.
I'm bringing in Thibault Gilbert. Thibault, sorry. He's actually a good friend of mine. He's a Thibault.
Yep.
Hey, it's good to see you, my friend.
Hi,
Sorry
Mr.
for
Gilbert.
butchering your name.
Hey, Doug. So yeah, my name is Thibault Gilbert, and I've lived in Teaneck all of my life, and I've gone to the Teaneck Swim Club almost all of my life. I think I went first when I was 2. I'm now 12, so that's 10 years. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to cool off during these excruciatingly hot summers we've been having recently, and it's a great place to have fun with your friends. You can play sports there, dive off the diving boards, swim some laps, or just cool down in the water. I admit that there are some things that could be improved, but most of the things are just great. My family goes there almost every day in the summer to swim, dive, play pickleball and ping pong. And when we go, we also see lots of other people there talking, having fun, working out, or just relaxing. But disappointing all of these people, letting this place of fun and joy just die off, that's just not right. Also, it's the only place I can play ping pong, so yeah. Also, I'd really want to still be able to invite my friends there like I have before, and maybe even get them to join as members, whether it's friends from my school, Thomas Jefferson Middle School, or my soccer team. I would love if you strongly considered supporting the Teaneck Swim Club to make a lot of people in Teaneck happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Doug, someone else on Zoom?
Great to hear from you, Mr. Gilbert. Abner Straws? Abner Straws, you're free to unmute. You have Strauss, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
sir.
sorry for mispronouncing your name. You have 3 minutes and 1 second.
Okay, listen, I'm calling you from downtown Frisco, Colorado, where it was -5 today and no drones. What I want to say is this. I've been a member of the Teaneck Swim Club for about 20 years. It's a wonderful place. It's an oasis. My wife and I, we get in the car, we drive 4.5 minutes, and we're out in the country. And then we drive home and we say, we just had a vacation. It's a treasure. It's something that the council and the township should treasure and do everything to preserve. Now, the council has a wonderful opportunity. It can be proactive in finding a way to form a private-public partnership, which will keep this facility open for years and years to benefit the entire township. This could be the legacy, a positive legacy of this council. And they have to look deeply into the situation and do everything possible to preserve it as a wonderful resource for the entire community. We need to diversify, we need to reach out, and the present board has every intention to do that. Now, I want to just say one last thing. I'm always so impressed when I attend these council meetings. I'm so appreciative of the council members, the time and energy they put into this somewhat thankless position. Often they don't get credit for all the wonderful things they do. And when I watch the council meetings, see how they're good people and they want the best for the township. And this is one way to put their money where their mouth is and find a way to preserve this wonderful resource for the entire town of Teaneck. If they can see that and make that happen, what a wonderful legacy for them. And that's what I have to say from downtown Frisco, Colorado. Thank you very much.
Someone else on Zoom, Doug?
We have Michael Rockland on deck.
Good evening. Am I good?
Loud and clear. We can hear you. Thank you, Mr. Rockland.
Awesome. Good evening, council and public. I want to really express my heartfelt thanks to council members Schwartz and Goldberg for really stepping up and taking street safety in this town seriously. We've had, over the course of the past few weeks, 2 horrific hit and runs. And these were a matter of when they would happen, not if they would happen. Our county roads, especially, Cedar Lane, Teaneck Road, River Road, these are all places where we have, unfortunately, as a town, see people get seriously injured crossing the street. And these are things that are preventable. These are incidents that the entire country is grappling with, especially after COVID. There's been a real spike in reckless driving. I believe that 2024 will be the deadliest year in a very, very long time for pedestrians in the state of New Jersey. And we know, as a country, as a society, a lot of the tools for how do we avoid these senseless tragedies. And it's really important that the town of Teaneck is stepping up for our township streets, whether it's Queen Anne Road or many of our streets that don't have sidewalks, or many of the crosswalks by our houses of worship that see tons and tons of people every single day, every single week crossing the street. And it's also really important that we are proactively engaging with the county. This is probably the most high visibility thing that the county does, is own, operate, and repair our streets. And so I'm very excited to see the county to see the town take this very seriously. And thank you again for your service, and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Rockland. Doug, someone else on Zoom?
We have Lisa Schwartz on deck.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes,
Loud
ma'am.
and clear.
Okay, great. Hi. So first of all, this is the first council meeting that I'm attending since the election. So I do want to congratulate the winners of the council election. And also, I am here to talk about the Teaneck Swim Club. I've been a resident for 45 years in Teaneck. When my husband and I, Ron and I, were looking for a house, I remember that was one of the selling points for us moving to Teaneck. We were informed that there was a wonderful swim club in town, and we loved that idea. Unfortunately, at the time, over 40 years ago, there was quite a long waiting list for the Teaneck Swim Club, and we were unable to become members. Most recently, the last 5 or 6 years, Ron and I have been able to join the swim club. And I have to just echo what other people have said about the swim club. It is a wonderful resource in our town. You know, at a time when there is so much divisiveness, um, there are several places in town that really bring people together. I think one of them is sports. You see people coming together from all parts of town. I'm a member of the garden club. That's another area. But the swim club especially is a place where people from all parts of town come and get together and just enjoy this wonderful facility. Um, what we're asking the council to do is to open up negotiations with our board so that we can have a working relationship, kind of a public-private. I mean, I don't know how this works, but for the council to really, truly consider working with this board to help the swim club at a time when we are in dire need financially, as a lot of other organizations are having difficulties. To lose the swim club, I think, would be disastrous for the town. It is just a wonderful place. And again, the thing that I want to highlight is it is a place where people come together and, you know, for the love of swimming, to just hang out in the summer. And it's quite a selling point for our town. And it is one of the great things that we have in town. So I am going to urge this council to please, please work with our board to open up negotiations to see how you can help us in keeping the swim club alive. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you,
have
Ms.
a-
Schwartz. I'm going to go back into chambers and the lady in the second row with the glasses.
Hi. Thank you all for your attention to all this detail. There's a lot of detail. And there's a lot of attention on your side.
Your name for the record, ma'am, please.
My name's Helen Faber Goldberg. I live in Teaneck for the last 40 years. I also remember, I want to talk about the swim club now, and that we shouldn't default for a number of different reasons that I know have been laid out to you. But I want to tell you that the swim club is really, there's a little bit of magic in the swim club. You walk through the portal to get into the grounds and there's a breeze. There is like a 10-degree difference between the swim club and the minute that you walk out of it to the parking lot. It's a place that is such a sweet place. And I personally have a number of grandchildren. They look forward the whole year to the swim club. The swim club, there's nothing in all of Bergen County like the kiddie pool in the swim club, where you get to know everybody and the kids get to play together. There's a beautiful playground. There's a great vibe going on there. The adult swim, which you could go at any time, it is so quiet and peaceful. And in the morning when you go 7 a.m., there's no talking. I mean, you can talk, but all you hear is the lapping of the swimmers. And the main pool is big and friendly. And there's no place like this. I belonged to Votee for a while I was on the waiting list to get into the swim club. And it's really a surprise to me that you would there was consideration for putting $1 million into an upgrade. I don't know if that's exactly the amount, but before you upgrade the pool in Votee, which is a nice little pool, but it is another dimension that you're talking about. That the swim club is my summer vacation. So the board is so committed. We have so many people that have just come up and have put so much work and effort to keep it going. It is a gem, and to default will make things, it's kind of going like this. It kind of doesn't make sense. You can really lean in to making our whole community stronger by doing a public-private cooperation, and I know that Barry and everybody else here is familiar with it, but I
Thank you,
have
ma'am.
to tell you that it's priceless.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Rogovan.
Good evening, Paula Rogovan. I'm talking about cannabis, which is not on the agenda, but it has been on the planning board agenda. But this, I want to talk to you about this. It's astonishing that some of our former and current council members enabled a cannabis proposal for 455 Alfred Avenue. This site is well within the 1,000 feet of Denning Park, where there's a soccer field, baseball court, and a playground. The Federal Controlled Substances Act says that is illegal to have a cannabis operation within 1,000 feet of a park. I went with an engineer and we measured the distance. You can do it on Google Maps. It's so much less than 1,000 feet to from Denning Park to the cannabis to 455 Alfred Avenue. It's kind of shocking that this proposal has gone forward. Even at the planning board, people said, this is not our business. What goes on in that park, it's Englewood's problem. It's not Teanec's problem. It's not the problem of the planning board. Well, it's less than 1,000 feet. Now, I'm not even against cannabis, but I don't want to pay the tax bill when we get taken to court on this. It's illegal under federal law, and we should really be following the law. I wonder, where have you been? Why didn't this come to your attention before? Why has so much time and money been wasted on this proposal? Again, I'm not opposed to cannabis, except this one, which is at this point in history, it's illegal. But I am opposed to the addition of a cannabis facility that will add to the pollution in this environmental justice community. The area is already overburdened by pollution from traffic on Route 4, Decatur Avenue, truck traffic in the industrial zone, and Teaneck, and on Coolidge Avenue in Englewood. It will be impacted even more by the pollution from vehicles from the hundreds of new apartments on Alfred Avenue. The planning board heard from a so-called traffic expert who said, no problem regarding the traffic from the new apartments, 1.5 cars per apartment. Are you kidding? No problem? Really? Would you choose to live there in that kind of pollution? Do you care? Do you care about environmental justice? It's not just the cannabis, additional parking from cannabis, but
Thank
it's
you, Ms. Rogovan.
the mix of pollution from the whole
Thank you,
area
Ms.
that is the
Rogovan.
problem.
Thank you, Ms. Rogovan. Mr. Siegel.
Good evening. My name is Rich Siegel. I'm a 25-year homeowner here in Teaneck. I'm Jewish. I'm watching the industrial level extermination of the Palestinian people in Gaza continue. And when I first started organizing demonstrations against the real estate events here in Teaneck, I've been doing it for 17 years. I made the point that they're illegal because they're selling illegal West Bank settlement real estate. And I couldn't prove that they were illegal, but it's been proven now, okay? Several months ago, an attorney did some research and came to the conclusion that 22 different laws are being violated by these Israeli real estate events. And they are state laws, federal laws, and international laws that are all being violated. And the Jewish community here in Teaneck was served a cease and desist order. And they have ignored that cease and desist order. There have been at least 3 more Israeli real estate events since then. Now, the tactic that's being used is they're being done clandestinely. One was done in a wedding venue in South Hackensack. Another one was done in a private home in Bergenfield. But basically, what it looks like to the non-Jewish community and what it looks like to the people who care about the victims of genocide is that the Jewish community is saying, we're God's chosen people, we're above the law. That's what it looks like. That's what you all are saying, okay? And as long as I have a few more minutes, I'd like to address the way I've been treated by this council. The last time I was here, Hillary Goldberg turned her back on me for the entire time I was speaking. And I
Please
don't know
address
why
council.
she's still here. I'm not speaking to her, I'm speaking about her, and I have
Well,
the
please
right to
address
do that.
council, Mr. Siegel.
You should give me that time back because I did not break any rule.
Continue.
I talked about her.
Continue.
She should be removed from the council. That's disgraceful behavior. I'm a constituent. I need to be treated with respect. Thank you for letting me speak.
The gentleman in the front row.
My name is Barry Obid. I've been a resident of Teaneck since 1983, and I'm currently the president of the Teaneck Swim Club for the last few years. I've been a member of it for a long time, but I've only been involved at this level for a few years. The reason why I'm getting up to speak is because I'd like to clarify how we got to where we are today, especially with all of these members of the swim club speaking, and possibly clear up some misconceptions. The Teaneck Swim Club has been talking to the township about a public-private partnership to make the club facilities available to all residents of Teaneck for well over a year. First to Dean Kaczynski, then to Jacqueline Hashmat, and most recently to a council committee. Until very recently, it has always been the town's position, as represented by the previous township manager, the recreation supervisor, although I don't know the position of the council at the time, that they were interested in having the club continue to operate for the benefit of the town as a nonprofit public-private partnership, to make it more open, accessible, and inclusive to all residents, but they had no real interest in running or managing the club. At the last meeting that the board or a subcommittee of the board had with the township committee that was formed to discuss this, it was kind of a big surprise that we had at that meeting, where the township attorney basically said that they wanted the club to default on its lease after a 1-year period of management pursuant to a management agreement. The town would be ready to take over the club and run it and manage it directly. At that time, I expressed skepticism as to whether the Board of Trustees could willfully and voluntarily default on our obligations, so long as we were able to meet them financially without a formal resolution at a membership meeting. A default notice was served nevertheless, which I agreed that I had no problem with that default notice being served, due to non-payment of 2024 rent. The board determined, in consultation with our legal counsel, that it would be a violation of our fiduciary duties to our membership to allow such a default. And furthermore, that our officers and directors insurance would not protect us from personal liability if we proceeded in that manner. Although the swim club continues to believe that a public-private partnership is the best way to achieve what I believe we all want.
Thank you, Barry. Your time is up, sir. I'm gonna ask one more person in chambers to speak in case they want to continue what you were saying before we go back to a few people on Zoom. Ma'am?
I prepared something slightly different. Okay. Hi, I'm Nicole Chandler. And good evening, everyone. I'm a mother of 2 children, ages 8 and 3. I'm a mother of 2 kids, ages 8 and 3, and an 8-year resident of this wonderful town. Moved here when my first was born. And I'm also proud to serve as a member of the Board of Trustees for the Teaneck Swim Club. I'd like to share a little bit about the club, what it has meant for me and my family. I joined the swim club during the pandemic, looking for a safe outdoor space where my family could connect with others during an isolating time. Growing up, I was lucky to have access to a pool similar in Inglewood, and it gave me some of my best childhood memories, learning to swim, spending time with my friends, and simply enjoying the summer. I wanted my kids to have those same experiences, and the swim club has been that place for us. It's more than just a pool. It's where we wind down after camp with a splash in the water or some playground time, a place where my kids are learning to love swimming and where we've built new friendships in the community. It's a space where families come together, kids develop lifelong skills, and our town feels connected. As a trustee, I'm proud to share that we're making efforts to increase our membership and ensure the club continues to thrive as a vital part of our town's culture. Thank you for letting me share my story, and I hope we can work together to support and strengthen this incredible resource for all families in our community.
Thank you, Ms. Chandler. Doug, a couple of people on Zoom, please.
Bringing in Evan Cohen.
Hey everyone, I am a Teaneck resident. I'm a Teaneck resident and a member of the Teaneck Swim Club. I'm just echoing what what a couple of people have said before, and that the Teaneck Swim Club is an invaluable resource to us in this town. I personally believe that it's in the town's best interest to work in partnership with the Teaneck Swim Club in direct connection, because ultimately we want to be competitive also with other towns. New Milford has got a great town pool. Ridgewood's got a great town pool. Votee is nice, but it's nowhere near the level of what the swim club offers. And there's no sense in why we can't have both. There's a lot that can still be done with the swim club to make it even more attractive for potential buyers in Teaneck. It's great for families. It's diverse. It's fun. It's a respite from hot summer days. We love it, and we want to see it continue. So just asking the town to get more involved to make sure the swim club itself doesn't default. I believe the swim club has a bright future ahead with correct management, with correct partnership with the town. And we can really make this a jewel for Teaneck and open it up, not just to members, because it could be a little bit expensive for some, but opening up the gates a little bit and broaden the appeal to more people in the town. So it's not just Votee, but it could be the swim club for everybody, and really make this one of the most special parts of our great town. So I thank you for your time, and want to just continue to echo what we need for the future here at the swim club. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Doug, someone else on Zoom?
We have Deborah Blayberg on deck.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to congratulate everyone on their wins for the Council and Board of Education. I wasn't at the last meeting, and just to echo what Dr. Yost said, you should listen to him. I'm actually calling in with regards to the swim club. When they say it is a place of true tolerance, I think me being a member for 10 years shows how tolerant they are. When you go to the swim club, it is, you step through into a place where everybody is just sits down, and it's just a lovely place to be. And I would like the town to seriously consider what they are proposing with a private-public partnership. I have always been of the opinion that we should be looking to bring in more members, figuring out a way to make more members. Bonded members need to make sacrifices to bring in the members. Never been an argument. I think it is a great place where you get to meet people and get to know people on a completely different level. And it was lovely to see my fellow swim club members speaking out. It's nice to see them clothed. Now I know what you look like with your clothes on. So I've always loved that joke. Anyway, so I just want to reiterate what the swim club members are saying. And then I also just want to talk about the hit and runs, because as someone who actually child was knocked down by a hit and run on the corner of Fyke and Teaneck Road at the crossing light, when he was crossing at the crossing because someone decided to turn right on a red. And I just want to say, is without Officer Marino, Detective Marino, I don't know if he's been promoted or what his position is, but he, from the Teaneck Police Department, he saved my son's life, and it's never been really said out loud, and it really needs to be recognized that that man, had he not been where he was stood at that time and noticed my child and then not noticed my child, I do not even want to think what have happened, because he said he just saw a coat on the ground. So I just want him to have the recognition that he needs, and to say, yes, we need to do something, and we all need to make sure we slow down and are aware. But the other part is the headlights on the other cars have become much brighter in past years. And whilst we're looking at all different solutions, maybe we should be looking at recampaigning for the car industry. I know it's a big one, but these headlights just blind people, and then it's dark out and you can't see anything. And that is part of it. Everyone, even if you slow down in the rain, when you have those bright lights coming at you, it's too much. So maybe those are things we also have to consider in all areas of trying to make the street safe. And have a good evening, and yeah, listen to Dr. Yuck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Blayberg. Someone on Zoom, Doug?
I have Brasha Gold. Feel free to correct me if I mispronounced your name. Thank you. This isn't about the town clerk. It's about Miss Gold.
Hi, Miss
up on the
Gold. You have
screen.
3
Hi,
minutes,
Miss
ma'am.
Gold. 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bracha Fine, and I'm a proud resident of Teaneck. I would like to take a moment to encourage the council to reappoint Mike as mayor during the upcoming reorganization. Throughout his tenure, Mike has shown unwavering dedication to public service, consistently prioritizing the needs of all Teaneck residents, regardless of background or perspective. While his leadership has been impactful and marked by significant progress, it is his genuine commitment to serving every member of our community that I believe will be the unifying force our town so desperately needs. Mike is a dedicated public servant, and his steadfast focus on fairness and inclusivity makes him the ideal person to continue leading our town forward. I firmly believe that Mike's continued leadership will help us move forward in the most positive and collaborative way possible. Thank you all for your consideration. Have a good night.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a couple more people on Zoom, Doug.
Michael Klatsky. Mike, you're free to unmute whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Michael Klatsky, Teaneck resident. Good evening, council. Good evening, town staff and public. We've heard a lot tonight from folks from the swim club. I think it's great. I think it's an awesome place that everyone who is a member of the swim club enjoys a lot. And there's nothing, I have nothing against that. I think that's awesome. I think that there seems to be an idea that seems to be thrown to the town's residents tonight, that there's an idea that the swim club is going to close forever if the town doesn't do something. And perhaps the town should do something. And what I want to suggest tonight to the council and the public, and to just generally to the swim club at large, is that there is an issue with the swim club. Many communities that are similar in size and scope and density to Teaneck, they go ahead, they acquire land, they build an aquatic center. Many towns in Nassau County have that. A lot of people, thousands of people enjoy it. Our neighboring communities have that. The Fairlawn Pool is a place that people love. It costs them $200 a year for an entire family. The Ridgewood Pool is a place people love. You go to Rockland County, the Spook Rock Pool Complex is a place people love. The town of Haverstraw has one of those. The town of Clarkstown has one of those. I can go on and on and on and talk about public facilities that are acquired with public funds that are open to the public. And the history of this facility is interesting. It was it was given over to the township for a small sum of money. It became kind of like a derelict site in the 60s and early 70s. The town had thought of building an aquatic center, never really was able to pass a bond to do it. And then a private nonprofit was able to raise the funds to actually do something with this site that was basically like a place to just dump old cars and burn garbage and stuff like that. And that's a very commendable activity. But the ensuing decades is that there's a private club on public land, and that's got to stop. It's over. You talk by telling us all of the great things that we can't use because we don't want to pay a $500 bond on land that's owned by us. It's frustrating to hear. It's not the right way to sell what you're trying to sell. I think that we should have a public-private partnership. I think that the swim club should be the concessionaire operator of the Teaneck Swim Club. That's a public swim club. I think the town should, it would be great if we even paid you. It should not be a country club on public land any longer. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Klasky. Doug, someone else on Zoom?
We have Keith Kaplan on deck.
Hello, Keith Kaplan, Teaneck resident, also a former councilman and current vice president of the Teaneck Swim Club. The club has not only been a nice getaway for residents for the last 45 plus years, but it's also been a good neighbor to the town. When COVID hit and the club grounds were made available
Can we
for
please
the
have
high
quiet
school.
in the audience, please? Can we please have quiet?
The
Sorry
club
about that,
grounds
Keith.
were made available for high school reunions, for Teaneck High School, for the public, since the indoor spaces weren't permitted. When the Voti Park pool couldn't open, sometimes because the pipes were cracked, sometimes because the cement needed to be redone. As a member of the board and the council, I was able to work with the board of the club and manager Kaczynski to bring all Voti Park badge holders to the club. And that was done for significantly less than it would have cost any of those people to come to the club. And I know Deputy Mayor G was one of the people that came as a Voti Park badge holder, got to enjoy the facility. So you have real life experience of what the town has offered, what the club has been able to offer to the town. And what wound up happening post-COVID is that a lot of new members simply didn't join. They went on vacations, they went on trips, and it affected the club's bottom line, like it does for everybody. One of the options that was brought up was the idea of a partnership with the town, that the town could help the club can help the town. So what is all this default stuff that people were bringing up? The club started in 77, as someone mentioned, and it had a 30-year lease, and it had another 30-year extension in 2007. And part of that lease is that the club pays rent to the township. And what was suggested during one of these meetings between the board and the town was that the club simply stop paying its rent. The checks are due twice a year in June and September. And they said, just stop paying. We'll issue a default. And once you're in default, we can take the place over. And that would certainly stop the club's, issues. It just wouldn't exist anymore. And in the future, I'll go over the specifics why a public-private partnership makes sense, but for now, I wanted to mention that the town spending millions of dollars on Voti is a significant problem when there's a better place to put the money. So why not have the town take it over is the obvious question, right? Well, if you lived here long enough that you remember there was a Phelps Park pool, before the dog park was there was a tree growing out of the pool. And the Voti Park pool is constantly having problems simply because of budgetary issues keeping the necessary maintenance from occurring. Having the town take over the club is a recipe for disaster, but there is a wonderful medium of a public-private partnership, and that's what we should go for.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Doug, someone else on Zoom?
We have one more on Zoom. Please state your name for the record as it is not shown.
Good evening. It's Lillian Lewis,
Hi,
41-year
Miss
resident.
Lewis.
How are you, Doug?
3 minutes.
Okay. I want to first thank Councilwoman Denise Belcher for introducing the Kwanzaa resolution. I want to wish everyone happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah. My prayer and desire is for our entire Teaneck family to celebrate together each of our celebrations, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. Secondly, I appreciate the mention of my proposal of the Ardsley Court Hargraves area quiet parks council. I pray that all goes well with surveying the grounds to see if it is feasible for the park. I have already given the park a name. Speaking by faith, I propose the quiet park to be named the Malgood Quiet Park. Now, for those of you who've never met Mal Good was a longtime resident of Teaneck, and he was the first Black TV network news correspondent for ABC. Mal Good is best known for being one of the first correspondents to cover the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Unfortunately, Mal Good passed away in 1995. I pray that all goes well, as I stated earlier, and the spring of 2026, we have a celebrated ribbon cutting of the opening of the Mal Good Quiet Park. Thank you. Now, do I have any time left?
Yes, Ms. Lewis, you do.
Okay, well, since I do, when I was a member of the Community Relations Advisory Board, I was invited to the swim club area. It is really beautiful. I also asked that the council consider becoming partners with the swim club to make the swim club a public park. Hopefully, it will become a more affordable park for everyone. Thank you. God bless. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Mr. Rose.
Howard Rose, Teaneck resident for well over 40 years, and a swim club member for about 20 odd years, way back when. Gentleman earlier transitioned from California to Colorado in one sentence, and he indicated that this was a thankless job that Teaneck council members perform. Not true. I thank you. There's been many times where I've been in strong disagreement with your decisions. There have been times where you've been very thoughtful and I've agreed with your decisions. It's not thankless. It's difficult. Swim club. I'd like to see it expanded to the river. It could become Teaneck's Riviera. I mean, you know, you walk through the gates there and it's no detriment to Teaneck in general, but you feel like you've left Teaneck when you enter it. Open area, the swimming, the games, the sports. You know, it's an entity that if you lose it, it's never coming back. And if you lose it, what's the next step? Raise some money to reduce taxes and put a 12, 14-story building there or condominiums? I've made mention in an article in a letter that my concern is that the Teaneck Council has an edifice complex. Please don't expand it. Let's keep Teaneck pleasant, usable for everyone for years to come. Food bank. You know, people in the food bank need food, not just during Christmas time, but all year round. I don't need an answer from you right now, but I do wonder how many council members set an example and contribute towards Teaneck's food bank. And that would encourage members of our community, not the community, our community, because the people who receive the food, the people who give the money to get the food, they don't need cans of beans or cereal from you. They need money because they know at the food bank what people need. But again, hopefully everyone contributing, people who are listening as well at home, it's necessary, it's year round, and you can do it. We're looking forward to a new year. I'm optimistic that all of you, even if I disagree on certain areas, really have Teaneck's well-being at heart. With that in mind, the best situation you can make is a transparent one where everyone knows what you're thinking, why you're thinking it, and where we're going with your thoughts. Transparency, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Deanne Ip.
I'm Deanne Ip. I live on Pomander Walk, and the swim club is my closest neighbor. I've been a member since they opened in 1977, and the place is absolutely fantastic. It's an oasis of relaxation, of health. You can go swimming, you can have a picnic, you can have friends over, you can socialize with other members of the club. They do a beautiful job of maintaining the property, and that for me is a very big issue, because if you have this neighbor in your backyard and they don't maintain it, it falls on me generally on Pomander Walk. You know, quite often I take care of the historic burial ground where Teaneck has not yet worked out In the past few years, they had a private contract with a private landscaper. This year, the contract was up, and I've had my landscaper actually maintaining the burial ground where the DPW lags off. At any rate, we need the swim club, and the best way, I believe, is a partnership with the town to work with the board of the swim club to keep it going the way it is. And I don't know the technicalities, but opening the club to the entire township and keeping it the way it is. Just very, very beautiful place, well maintained. People learn to swim there. They have swim lessons in the morning. Kids play in the kiddie pool. It's absolutely beautiful for small children. And then you have an Olympic size lap pool for public health and swimming. And then there's diving boards and there's a general pool and there's ping pong tables and a tennis court and a snack bar. What more can you ask for? I think it's one of the best places in all of Bergen County. So please do not default. I don't understand the purpose of that, but rather a public-private partnership to keep the place open. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanne. Anyone else in chambers? Maxine? Of course.
Hi, good evening. Hi, thank you so much. My name is Maxine Angel. I'm a Teaneck resident. I live in District 3. Congratulations to the winners of the recent election. It's great to have you serve us, and thank you all for your service to Teaneck. I am here for a couple things. Bill, on the street safety, it's a concern for all of us. The streetlight situation is severely lacking all over town. And I just want to ask what can be done to improve the street lighting throughout Teaneck on the main streets as well as a number of side streets, which feels it's very quaint. It feels like you're driving on a dark country road, but it's very dangerous. And kids are coming home from school and it's dark. So that is a major concern. And I know that Teaneck has a very difficult budget situation. This has been a long time coming, and it's imperative that we figure out a healthy and productive plan that sets us up for success for a long time. And this is going to include a number of revenue sources. And you probably guessed it, I'm here to talk about cannabis and my opposition to that. Specific to the issue about cannabis is how unifying this issue is, that there's a wide range of residents who have come together on this issue, and I've had the privilege of working with some amazing residents who feel strongly about this issue as well. And I want to thank the fantastic research and writing team of Teaneck Voices for bringing this to our attention. And I printed up their research and writing about the existing Ordinance 7/2024 having to do, forgive me, there's a lot of legal language, so I'll just summarize this, that Teaneck says that there can't be a willful violation of any applicable law or regulation. What Ms. Rogovan presented before in her research as well, that the 455 Alfred location is about 600 feet from Deming Park. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. We don't want to see this escalate into another legal battle. And so you can read more about that. And I just want to use the rest of my time to honor the memory of Detective Joseph Seals, a Bergen County resident who gave his life 5 years ago today in the Jersey City shooting. I think it's important that we remember him as well as all of the victims, but Detective Seals especially prevented a larger attack and saved countless lives and left behind a wife and 5 children. So thank you. Happy holidays to all of you. Happy New Year. Thank you always for your service, and you know how to reach me.
Thank you, Ms. Angel. Dr. Powers.
Powers, Teaneck, almost exactly in your December meeting of 22, 2 years ago, you had a presentation made by a group that almost the entire council said, where did this thing come from? It was a presentation about the 455 Alfred Avenue facility and the fact that the national group wanted to come and set up a cultivation and a retail function there. The problem with 455 Alfred Avenue, as you have just heard several times tonight, is that it violates the absolutely clear provisions. Any person who violates section 841 and 856 by distributing and manufacturing a controlled substance in or within 1,000 feet of a variety of facilities, but very specifically a playground. And you've heard tonight that there is such a facility within 600 feet of where it is those folks want to not just involve 5 grams of marijuana, but 1,000 grams per month. Now, a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of confusion about exactly what it is that happened that that federal law I just cited. Once it turned out that the state wanted to legalize, and it only set rules of 100 feet for some of those same facilities. As you probably know, the League of Municipalities said, well, that's fine for the state to say that, but there is this federal law. And then you folks last May passed a very interesting ordinance. And you were very clear in saying, notwithstanding the foregoing, when the township administrator has been notified or has reasonable grounds to believe that a licensee has engaged in deliberate and willful violation of any applicable law or the public health, safety, and of general welfare, the clerk working with the administrator is supposed to make sure that that license is suspended until a remediation can occur. But no remediation could possibly occur for a facility that is in direct violation of federal law. And I think you folks ought to get about the business of getting your ordinances in order with the actual law that you said governed your activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. I think I saw a hand. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Martha Applebaum. I've been a member of the Teaneck Swim Club for about 26 years. I'll be brief because everything's been said. Just want to echo everyone's comments tonight of what a great place it is. And in these times where temperatures are getting hotter, summers are getting hotter, this is an amazing resource for the whole community, not just the great pools, but the shade, the breeze that everyone has mentioned. I mean, this is really an amazing asset for our community. So I hope you'll consider the public-private partnership to benefit the entire community. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Applebaum. Anyone else in chambers want to speak? Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sharon Schubert. I've been a Teaneck resident for 40 years and a swim club member for probably 35 of them. I'm not going to repeat what everyone said. It's a wonderful place. There's no doubt about it. Last summer, the town pools had some problems. So for, I think, about a week, those people, the swim club opened their doors to all the members of the town pool. And there's room for everybody. It's a big place. The joy, the kids running around, having the greatest time, the diversity, it was thrilling. The same thing happened, I think, in Tenafly with a pool. They had some problems, and I think the the pool got some money from Tenafly to let their kids come and swim in the mornings or something like that. It makes my summer. I'm the first one there at the lap pool. I swim my laps. It's so healthy. It's so wonderful. I see the same people every day. It's just a fabulous place, and I beg you to help support us and so that we can go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schubert. Anyone else in chambers? Nobody in Zoom, so good and welfare is closed. Mr. Schwartz, would you like to start us off, sir?
Yes, thank you very much. As it relates to the swim club, I'll leave my comments to others. Just a quick question on the comment, I should say, on the vacancy of the land. Indeed, there are quite a bit of stores that are actually closed. Cedar Lane itself from Teaneck Road to Hackensack is actually 96% leased. Dollar Land, which does look horrible, is leased and there's a permit out for the renovation. Type A Noodle House is leased. There's a permit out for the renovation. KFC the lease has not yet been signed, though there's several leases out. Let's hope it gets signed. The comment of the footbridge to Stop and Shop, I mean, we'd love that, but unfortunately, that's probably about $10 million, and that's really not in the books right now. We looked into the left turn light from Queen Anne Road. That'd be Queen Anne Road north to Cedar Lane. The county, I believe, denied our request because there's not enough. The intersection is not wide enough. We would have to take land from the adjoining buildings, which are actually occupied. 222 and Cedar Lane and the bank are all encroached quite close to the curb. So we were denied on that. And they did give us the left turn onto Palisades, but it is unfortunately a dangerous intersection. Very interesting on the comments regarding the cannabis and the 1,000 feet. New Jersey changed their laws, which allow for it because they actually took legalized cannabis off the controlled substance list. It'd be for people far smarter than me to discuss how it relates to the federal law, but the state law fully allows us to open up. Also interesting to note that the park is separated from Alfred Avenue. It's around the corner, it's a block and a half away, and there's a stream that separates it. So I'm curious to know how that works out because New Jersey fully does allow the store to open up. Thank you very much.
Belcher.
Hey, I want to thank everyone for calling in and coming out and speaking tonight. Just a couple of points I just want to make regarding what Mr. Robert Lazarus had said about Cedar Lane, and also Dr. Yuck had spoken about the revitalization of Cedar Lane is important. It's a topic we talk about a lot. I'm a 20-year business owner, property owner on Cedar Lane, so it's hard for me not to see it every day. So essentially, I think that one of the things that I learned from, and continue to learn from attending like the League of Municipalities, is that our state has a lot of resources. And those resources speak to things like redevelopment help in terms of finding opportunities to incentivize property owners to see a vision, that speaks to development. So those are things that I continue to pursue and want to work on, not just for Cedar Lane, but all 4 of our business districts. Okay. Safe streets has to be a priority for us. It's very troubling to come home and hear about, someone has got hit or hit and run. I mean, just horrible situations. So wherever we can collaborate and create task force and work with the police and do whatever we have to do, we're going to do it, because it's just not it's not right to see that. I continue to say that Teaneck has a brand. We have to protect that brand. That brand speaks to diversity. It speaks to inclusivity. It speaks to things that we want to see. And I think that the problem that we have to really guard against is having venues that are not inclusive. So whatever it takes for us to work to create that, if you want to call it whatever, the whole idea is that we need to make sure that everyone partakes. Everyone partakes, that irregardless of membership or dues or fees or whatever. So I am a proponent of that. And I just want to say that thank you for those that came out and spoke about cannabis. I am concerned with the divide between the state law and the federal law. And I think that we definitely need to continue to monitor that and find ways in which we're doing the right thing in the end. Lastly, I just want to say to everyone, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, and just an overall happy holiday. Thank you.
Ms. Belcher, Ms. Organ.
So I get the swim club. I was having a quiet night. I'll start, and then if the attorney could answer anything I don't answer. I just want to speak about PSE&G first for the dark streets. PSE&G has a website. You can actually click on the street light that you think is off, that's dark, and they will come now. I think they come within a day or two and fix it. And if there is a street that's particularly dark, you can email us and we'll have them come out and take a look. But if there's a light that's out, you can go directly to them. And I've been told they come within a day or two to take care of it. So I have no lack of love for the swim club. I've lived in Teaneck for 50 years. My family and I were on the waiting list to get in. We were weekday members to start. As a child, I went to sports and arts during the day, and I spent the entire afternoon with my friends in the pool, and my parents sat with their friends and talked. And at night, they brought dinner, and we sat at the tables, and I ate Marion Schechter's macaroni salad because that was my favorite. And my mother still goes every day in the summer and swims in the lap pool. And when I got married and I had children, we joined, and I sat at the kiddie pool when my daughter was an infant and when my second daughter was an infant. And we went back all the time and we taught them how to swim there. And only when they were teenagers did we stop our membership because they didn't want to go anymore, and there was no reason for us to go without them. But I've spent the majority of my life as a member of the swim club, both as a child, as an adult, and my mother is still there. And I understand the feeling when you walk in there, as well as anybody else. I understand your love for the swim club. I do. I understand when on the ambulance corps, we did our water training there. I understand being a good neighbor. I understand opening up during COVID for everybody. I understand everything that everybody said in favor of it. And I understand that right now you need financial help. When Karen Sachs sent us an email asking us to come tour, I was the first one to answer, and I took the tour. And then I understood that she was asking the township for financial assistance because you were within 1 year or 2 years of not being able to open the doors. And that's why we formed a task force to work with you and to try to figure out what we can do. And when Barry explained the extent of the financial hardship, we agreed not to take a large step this year, but to try to give a cash infusion from the town this year so that you could open the doors, and then we could work out the structure of what the swim club would look like the following year for the entire town. At no point was there ever a discussion of not opening the township. I heard there were rumors going around that the town was going to develop there and put buildings there. At no point was there ever a discussion that there would not be a swim club there. But there was a discussion that this would now be a swim club, a public swim club for the entire town, not for 350 families, but for 42,000 Teaneck residents. And that means that if we are putting public funds into the swim club and we're putting tax money from Teaneck residents into the swim club, it's now a public club, and there can't be a public-private partnership where there are other people. There might be people that the township management chooses to work on a board and work on how the club would be run, but that would be a township decision, a council decision, a manager's decision. It's not going to look like the swim club it does right now. The facility might, hopefully it would be a better facility because now there would be more members and more funding and more availability. Who knows, maybe over the years there could be upgrades. There could be more that could go into it. It's a huge space that hasn't been upgraded since I'm a child. And while Mr. Kaplan says that there are, there may not be people in the business of running pools, running it. It doesn't mean that there can't be or that there wouldn't be. But the first step towards that had to be breaking the lease. And that's legally where the default came in. And if it's not something that your insurance would be comfortable with, there are other ways to do that. And that's something that the attorneys have to talk about. But there can't be money coming from the town. There can't be money coming from taxpayers' pockets into a private club. That can't be. It's not a thing. So we're very happy to help if you need help opening for this coming summer, but that has to come with the land reverting back to the town. And if you want a better, more legal explanation from the manager, that's fine. If you want to come back to us and have further discussions, that's fine. But there was never at any time a point where we didn't want the swim club to open. It just now has to be a club for the whole town. There would be no Voti Park pool anymore. We wouldn't put funding towards that. This would now be the place where the whole town came together, and the vision is wonderful. We can now come there to watch the fireworks in Hackensack. The Board of Ed is looking for a pool for their teams to swim in. It could be that one day there would be an enclosed pool, a bubble over a pool where they could swim in the winter, or funds could be raised to put back into the pool. Like the sky's the limit if we could dream about it together. But the one thing that can happen is public funds can't go towards a private pool. And that's where we were stuck. Happy to start working towards something again, happy to sit down with the attorney again, and happy to answer any questions. But the one thing that everyone needs to understand is a lot of the chatter that was out there was another campaign of misinformation. A lot of that was spread was never true. And the only thing that we wanted when we started speaking was one place for everybody to come together and be together, and that was long overdue. We have the people and you have the space, and we want everybody to come together there. I don't know if Scott has anything he wants to add.
I have nothing to add. That was well said, exactly what I would have said. Thank you.
Thanks. So, sorry. First, I just want to say I don't want someone to say I'm not addressing something. I'm a 10-year bonded member of the swim club, so I'm accused of not taking part in any of these conversations. Cedar Lane has been a topic of conversation, and to my surprise, we've been having it since before I was born. There's a plan from a planner in 1970 about Cedar Lane that I found on the county website, and it could have been written today with what it said. We need to find a way to address Cedar Lane, and it's something that I completely agree with, and I've heard every member of this council say the same. I will also say the zoning subcommittee has reached out to the owners on Cedar Lane, even with the offer of free food, and we couldn't even get them to come to the conversation. As such, we need to have visions. What is Cedar Lane going to look like? What is State Street going to look like? We need to have a plan, an economic development plan with a vision. And I know that there's an RFQ out for a new planner, and I hope with that new planner, there's a plan. Rebecca, I don't know if you're watching. I'm sorry that you had to leave. I know it's very frustrating. And as the manager said previously, the project is on schedule. The manager did a great presentation on September 24th. The PowerPoint is on the website. Again, thank you, Jackie, for that transparency. You can see how important it is to our residents. I really appreciate that. Rebecca, I'll give you a call tomorrow for any questions. When the water comes tomorrow, and I know tomorrow is going to be a stressful day, the DPW is already on it. We are on it, and you can reach out anytime. Mr. Rockland, thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you on the task force. Teaneck is a very pedestrian town. Ms. Blaberg, I'm very sorry that happened to your son, and I'm really glad he's okay. I personally witnessed a child get hit while riding a bike to school in 2021 on Palisade Avenue. And myself and another witness had to call the police, and they did an amazing job. So hopefully we can put an end to this. As in it's the last meeting, so to speak, of this term, I want to thank my colleague, my partner, my mayor, my friend, Mayor Michael Pagan, for his service to this town and as mayor for the past 2 years. Thank you for being an ally when the world turned their back. He's led us through very difficult times in this town and this chamber, and he has done so with grace. And he has done so despite threats made against his son. Leadership isn't tweeted into existence or sewn into jackets. Leadership is lived. Thank you for ensuring that everyone has had a seat at the table for the past 2 years. I hope in 2025, Teaneck can come together.
I think my colleagues answered most of the, or addressed most of the comments that were brought up, but I do want to speak to the swim club. I did have a chance to visit. I visited during COVID, when the pool, when the town pool was closed, and my children loved it. It was a lovely experience. The grounds are amazing. It's like a child's dream to be there all day in the summertime. So I hear all of you, and thank you so much for coming and sharing your stories. I want to just double down on everything that Karen said. There was never any thought not to engage in some sort of partnership. Of course, we want to see this swim club survive into the future, and we want to see it get better over time. But to Karen's point, if we want to do that, and if we provide an infusion of resident taxpayer dollars, then we have to open the club to the entire town. That would only be fair. And when you think about the history of the club and how certain people were traditionally excluded from joining, it really is a unique opportunity to open up township-owned land to the entire Teaneck community. I really want to emphasize that that's what we all want to see. We don't want to see development there. We want it to be a swim club into the future and really think about how we can make it better over time. But thank you everyone for coming and sharing your thoughts. And then, sorry, just want to end with happy holidays to everyone. In whichever way you're celebrating, this is a special time for us, special time of the year. And I look forward to seeing you all in January.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor G. As always, I want to say thank you to all of the residents who came out tonight to participate. And as a point of personal privilege, I want to say thank you because I am filled with gratitude and humility as I reflect on the incredible journey that we've shared together these past 2 years. Serving as your mayor has been one of the greatest honors of my life, and I am deeply thankful for the trust you placed in me to help lead our beloved hometown of Teaneck, because when I think of our hometown, I think of its heart, and that heart is the people we serve, the residents. They are the ones who help make us the vibrant, diverse, and unique community that we are, because Teaneck is more than just a community. It's a family, and like all families, we have our ups and downs. Sometimes we argue, sometimes we fight, but together we have faced our challenges with resilience and celebrated our victories with unity. From fostering economic growth to championing inclusivity, our collective efforts have made a difference in Teaneck. And none of this would have been possible without the dedicated members of this council or the tireless work of our municipal staff, and of course, the support and passion of our residents. You've all been my partners in progress, and I am so proud of what we have accomplished together these past 2 years. And as we look to the future, I am confident that Teaneck's best days are still ahead of us, because this township's spirit, its resilience, and its commitment to progress will continue to guide us forward. And whatever happens at the reorganization meeting on January 2nd, regardless of who our mayor and our 2 deputy mayors will be, my commitment to Teaneck remains unwavering. I will continue to advocate for our shared vision of a town where every voice matters and every resident feels seen and heard. So thank you, Teaneck, for your trust, for your partnership, and for your belief in the power of what we can achieve together as a community going forward. It has been the privilege of a lifetime to serve as your mayor, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And with that said, happy holidays. I hope everyone has a good evening. Ms. Hashmat, is there anything you want to address from any of the residents tonight? No? Mr. Salmon, is there anything you want to address from the residents tonight?
Nothing from me, Mayor.
All right, in that case, our next order of business is our consent agenda. And all matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by council, that particular item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the amount of the bill list into the record?
Yes, sir, Mayor. We have 4 sets of raffles, resolutions 322 down to 350, because we walked in our Kwanzaa recognition. And we have the bill list in the amount of $11,702,172.59.
So moved.
Does anyone? Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask.
Mr. Mayor, I need to pull 323, 340, and 347.
Hang on one second,
23.
323, 340, and 347.
Let's let our our set clear real quick.
Those three are pulled for
Wait, I
now.
didn't hear her.
She said 323.
323, 340, and 347.
323.
Those are pulled for now.
340.
And I think Mr. Schwartz was going to make a motion to, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, Mr. Schwartz, but
Motion Schwartz.
second, to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Clerk.
Councilman Schwartz, Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
All except for those three adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Ms. Goldberg, the floor is yours for 323.
All right,
340,
so
and
my
347.
question on 323, so just so everybody knows, this is a shared service agreement for vehicle maintenance with Paramus. From what I can see, we started this in 2022, but the costs have gone up 80% from 2022. I did check with Issa and Jackie that this is an emergency use only, so I think it was like $20,000 that we've spent in the past 2 years on it. But it's a huge rate increase. So I know I had asked Jackie if Paramus had a justification for the increase from 2022, again, 80%. Did they get back to you?
They haven't gotten back to me, but I will let you know. It is just if we need the services. It is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a day-to-day.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just, you know,
Yeah, I don't-
everything goes up. So I just wanted, I mean, that's a lot.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to check on that. On 340, my question is, it's a reimbursement from the county for the culvert on, I don't remember what's street.
I believe it was 211 Teaneck Road.
Yes. But it doesn't have the amount we're being reimbursed. Do we have that? Like, it's not clear. I know Issa's on. Does he have that?
I don't think Issa would have that.
Okay.
I know that's something that I was working on with Scott and Farah. And there is a shared services agreement here. 1 second.
It doesn't say how much we're being reimbursed. That's the agreement that they'll reimburse us up to $32,000, but I don't know how much we're getting back for this.
Well, without a specific dictation, it almost recommends reimbursing the township of Teaneck for their proposed corrective action plan in accordance with the attached persistent construction company cost proposal dated September 2, 20 in the amount of $39,990.
Oh, it's 39. Okay, thank you. So I'm okay with those. So I'm gonna make a motion to move on those, because then the last one I need to make a motion
Second.
to amend.
Motion.
Councilman Schwartz, Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G,
Yes.
Mayor Pagan,
Sure.
adopted.
All right, so 347, it's the year-end budget transfer. So I reached out to the CFO just to find out what the budget transfers were for. And he actually emailed me about an hour ago that the resolution is backwards. So I'm going to let him explain, and then I'll make the motion to amend it.
Mr. Abbasi, are you online with us, sir?
Yeah, I'm bringing them in.
So which number are we talking about?
This is
347 is the budget transfers.
Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so my apologies and kudos to Councilman Goldberg for catching this in my haste today and getting dug the resolutions. There's a lot of moving parts to this resolution. The to and from essentially are swapped. So, budget transfers are allowed based on the budget law between November 1st and March 31st of the next year for over expenditures. We are not allowed to make transfers at any other time. The bulk of the transfer, 200,000, is for health insurance, health benefits. We had a few other minor accounts, salary and wages for the fire department due to overtime, telephone, water, and advertising have overruns. So the resolution, as printed on the agenda, has those flipped. So those 5 groups should actually have money going to them instead of from. And the other groups that are funding those groups should have money going from them instead of to them. I've sent Doug the revised resolution, and that's what the amendment is, to basically adopt it as revised.
So I'm going to make the motion to amend the resolution to swap the to and from based on Issa. Is that how to do it, Scott?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Councilman Schwartz, Councilwoman Belcher, Councilman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G,
Yes.
Mayor Pagan. Adopted.
I don't think we have anything else. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We hope you have a happy holiday season. Get home safe.
And there we have it, the last meeting of our Township Council 2024. Everyone have a very successful, happy ending to our calendar year as we look forward to 2025. New things, similar people. We'll see.